DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FANation? Jonathan Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook preview show, live show. We're live, actually. This isn't preview. We're live here on the, what day is today? Thursday? 5-game main slate.
What an intro.
What day is it? Is it Thursday? Is it Thursday?
No.
Wednesday? What day is today?
No, it's Thursday. Get your freaking mind on the slate. Live stream.
I've been editing
Thursday
videos today that I have
January 16th, 2025, Thursday live stream. 5 games.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of video editing today. I just didn't know what day it was for a moment here, but I'm happy to have you all with us. We're talking 5-game main slate. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Phoenix, Washington, all the way through the 10 p.m. hour, Clippers, Portland. Should be a pretty fun slate overall. We did get Fred VanVleet ruled out not too long ago. Tyree Eason upgraded from doubtful to questionable, so it seems like we're going to have Eason back in our lives. We'll see, and we'll talk about where we think they go with that starting lineup here tonight. Ownership is pretty interesting. Mr. Jalen Williams, whom we talked about last night, among the highest rostered plays. Are you going to be playing a Thunder center against Cleveland tonight? We'll talk about that as well when it comes to the value. I do appreciate all of you who tune in each and every day with us. If you're new, welcome in. We go over each position. We build a lineup at the end of the show. We'll answer your questions if you got them. Just hit that like, that share, and that subscribe button. Free way to support the work we do here over at Fantasy Alarm. Grande, now that I know what day it is and what we're looking at, how are you feeling about today's main slate?
It's a good slate. We've had some solid news. There's still news to come in with Indiana. Always one surprise mixed in somewhere, which I think was the VanVleet stuff. So we'll see where ownership, because the ownership now doesn't matter. I mean, there hadn't been any news during the day, so nothing has really been adjusted, but I assume we're going to see Houston in the forefront of our lives sooner rather than later, just given how shorthanded, even if VanVleet's out and Easton's back, still how shorthanded they're going to be, because I imagine they're going to ease him into the rotation a little bit. Why push him when you can ease him in?
I get it. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a good slate. I disagree with some of the ownership that is currently sitting atop the list. But again, sometimes you take that with a grain of salt because it's just what we have, because there hasn't been anything that's changed. This is the same ownership as it's been all day. It hasn't moved. It hasn't changed. And the only thing that's broken during the day is the Houston stuff. So we're still waiting on Indiana. Who does Portland officially have with Rob Williams getting upgraded? Do they go back up? Obviously they're going to go with the same lineup. Who do the Clippers have available today? They played 13 guys, and is KPJ back in the rotation? So there's a lot to still, assess with the slate, but pretty good grasp on things right now.
Agreed. Josh in the chat saying this is wild today. Rockets. I mean, listen, we definitely liked.
I would say yesterday was worse.
Yes, yesterday was certainly worse than half the teams in the league resting their starters. We got a almost 20x out of Keaton Wallace last night. If you threw him in your lineup, once he was announced as a 3K starter, you probably had some success last night, because not many people made that pivot there. But if you played Bogdanovic, 40% of the field did, you are no longer ever playing Bogdanovic again in your lineup. So let's just jump into it. Top price overall players on the slate: SGA and Cade Cunningham are up over $10,000. They're your two top price point guards, along with Devin Booker, James Harden up over $9,000. We talked a lot about Cade, SGA these last couple of days here and their performances. Where do you think you're going to be looking to go here today, James?
If that is I guess it's like a depends question because like I don't think you
Sure.
have to spend up on either of them. I prefer SGA a little bit. I was looking at some of the stuff earlier in the year when they were without Chet and without Isaiah Hartenstein, and SGA had 17 potential assists over that 5-game span. That's pretty good for a guy who scores 30 plus points a night. So if you get like that version of SGA where he's scoring and hyper looking for teammates to score as well, we're talking about a guy who's going to get 60 fantasy points almost no problem. So I lean SGA. This game environment is super fun. We just saw it. Not going to like suggest 250 points are scored again, but these are two of the best offenses in the game. So like, it's not really surprising if they do it again. Like Cleveland's #1 offensive rated team, Oklahoma City is 6th. So like, if they both score 120 points again, we'd both be like, yeah,
I agree.
They're good. So I lean SGA amongst the two, but if you end up on Cade, obviously like he's given, I'll say the one thing that Cade has provided probably more of than SGA is the idea of a triple double. That has been in Cade's favor.
I don't even think we've gotten a lot of
SGA
double
this year.
doubles from SGA. We've gotten like a lot of full stat sheets.
Yeah, the defensive numbers SGA puts up are just absurd when he's scoring the way
agreed.
he is too.
We have Booker. Booker, one of the highest projected rostered players on today's slate. This is a guy that you and I were all in on the other day. It's no surprise you have this matchup now against Washington. Where he and Durant are super popular on tonight's slate. $9,100 is going to be too cheap. No Bradley Beal in this one. I assume you were hesitant to suggest spending all the way up because Devin Booker is a core play of yours tonight.
Yeah, him and Harden are locked and loaded, I think. Point guard, shooting guard, all the shot volume, all the peripheral stats, all the made threes. I mean, Devin Booker's been awesome lately, and has the dream matchup. You just the only thing you worry about is the competition on the other side, right? Can Washington make enough shots to compete? But it's not like, I mean, dude, this schedule has not been the gauntlet, and Phoenix has not really defended all too well. They gave up 122 points to Atlanta with no Jalen Johnson. They had to scrap back in a rematch with the Hornets. Twice they gave up 113 plus points to the Hornets. Competitive with you. Like, there's clearly something going on with Phoenix. So, like, if Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma want to show up and play offense today, that would be awesome because then, if you look at that 5-game stretch, Phoenix is in the bottom 5 in the NBA in defense. So I do think that this game could stay competitive enough to where you get these max minute Booker games. And I would like him so much right there with the field. And I think Harden is a nice little pivot off of most of the other names. Just again, like I have said it a million times this year, a million. When James Harden makes shots, he breaks slates because he's just so good everywhere. Like 11 assists in back-to-back games when you pair with all the shots that he's made, and he's nuked. And last night they won by a bazillion, and he only had to play 23 minutes and had basically 2 fantasy points per minute. So we know there's no Kawhi. Barely had to play last night. Elite matchup against the Portland Trailblazers, who ranked near the bottom of the league in defense. So I think there's no necessarily wrong answer of like the top 5 point guards, honestly, including De'Aaron Fox in that equation. Obviously, the savings on Booker and Harden are a little bit of a preference to me. Also, I think they personally have the better matchups between, the top 4. But it's really hard to just like eliminate any of the top 5.
I'm in agreement with you. And I mean, even really like the next group is fine. Like De'Aaron Fox, as we talked about, sure, Malik Monk is back, but Fox has put up some really good numbers just in general. It's just that, when you only need to spend a couple $100 more to get to Booker or Harden, you're more likely to make those pivots here. Halliburton considered questionable. I guess we'll see whether or not he suits up We've seen him obviously have some really big games lately as well. 8,400, no Ben Mathurin. And then you decide, are you playing the Cleveland Guards knowing how much they struggled in that last game? Because we know OKC has a lot of really good defensive guards that they can put out there. What are your thoughts in that range?
I don't necessarily care about like the last time they played. I think Donovan Mitchell was in a little bit of a slump to begin with and then shot himself out of it in that last Indiana game. Because you could say the same thing about that matchup. Like 7 for 17, then they ran it back and he goes 12 for 23. And that's Donovan Mitchell. Like if he gets going, he can score. I know the torture chamber exists, but I not necessarily looking at like the last matchup and be like, can't play Mitchell, can't play Garland because they struggled. I already hypothesized my crazy random like Jared Allen gets taken off the floor in this game if OKC just doesn't go like as big as people think. So I think that does put more need on Mitchell and Garland in this game to succeed. They do have tough matchups, but again, I would be really I'm not convinced if Cleveland can go out and score 120 points again that Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland have as bad of games as they did. I would be
and obviously sometimes we do talk a little bit more about defensive matchups and individual defensive matchups, and they don't always necessarily hold through. We do talk a lot of Lou Dort. They have Alex Caruso. They have Cason Wallace. Like they can, and even SGA obviously is a pretty elite.
Yeah, they get after it.
Yeah, they can definitely throw a bunch of waves at you, and that's why Mitchell obviously had a really bad game. Garland had a fine game; it's just not what we had been used to seeing. Would you have interest in Fox and Halliburton or especially Halliburton if he was active tonight?
Yeah, I included. I mean, I said top 5. I included Fox in that like top 5. Halliburton, probably large field stuff. But that's just been my answer basically for Tyrese.
You mentioned obviously the Jordan Poole thing here. He's point guard, shooting guard eligible, which is nice. There have been times of this year he's only been point guard eligible. Liking Booker as much as we do and needing him basically. And in this game, it's an 11.5 point spread. There's been plenty of times this year where you and I have talked about a double-digit point spread, and that game didn't end up being as non-competitive as maybe Vegas had expected, or at least competitive up until the end. If this game is going to stay inside 10 points, it's probably because Jordan Poole is having himself a good shooting night here. Would Poole be an obvious correlation play for you if you're getting a Durant or a Booker in your lineup?
Yeah, I think there's not many on the team that I would probably correlate with. Because, let's face the roster, I'm not getting to Koulibaly really just with how poor with Jordan Poole and Kuzma on the floor this year, he's a 0.6 fantasy player. Like, I know the price is fine. 0.6 is a tough sell for me. Poole, I in a close game, I know it was not necessarily indicative in the final, and Edwards just took over the end of that last game, but playing 33 minutes took 21 shots. You basically get that shot volume anytime he's extended, right? And he is having for all accounts, a great offensive year. 43% from the field, 40% from 3, getting to the foul line a decent amount, 40 or 86, let's call it percent. So yes, I do think that if you are looking at this game as one, I'm going to play Booker or Durant, a lot of people are, as you mentioned, then yes, I do think Jordan Poole or Kuzma are at the top of the list. I think Poole is the sneaker because Kuzma's easier to get to just with the price. So I do think Poole is the sneaker of the two. Kuzma obviously flashed the higher minute ceiling last game though. Kuzma played 36 minutes. So that's where I also think I still give Kuzma the edge of the two Washington priorities for me, but I think Poole is a very interesting tournament player.
We've obviously seen more consistency from Poole this year than we've seen Kuzma. Now, Kuzma's been hurt
for sure
a lot, but even when he's been on the floor for a lot, basically, with the exception of last game, he really hasn't been that good this season. Let's go into the Portland situation here, because obviously same situation for them in terms of active, the main active players from them, right? Denny's out for this one here. Doubtful. They started Scoot. We talked about it on that last show. why Scoot Henderson was getting all of that ownership, and then the 76ers news happened, and most people pivoted off of Scoot Henderson after him being all day a super popular play. That was the wrong decision because Scoot Henderson went out there and had 39 actual points and nearly 60 fantasy points. He now gets a monster price bump up to $5,800. So you have Simons, Sharp, and Henderson all sort of in the same price realm. And then you go look at ownership for today, and it's a different Portland guard that has the highest overall ownership in Delano Banton. Can they play 4 guards today and have them all be productive? Like, what do we think happens here?
Well, Banton's like a massive guard. You know, I remember when he was on Boston. Did they trade him last year?
Yeah, well, he was basically like their two-way player, and then they didn't need him anymore. So he got let go. I think he got let go or something like that. Yeah, I don't even know if they traded him.
They started. I remember that start they gave Banton last year at Boston before he moved on to Portland, where he started at like small forward. He's a big dude, so like I think they'll use him like just as a wing in general. I mean, he's just a wing that can handle the ball. Like he could play any of those 3 positions: point guard, shooting guard, small forward. You know, positionless basketball. Look, I am. It's a little bit of a. Yeah, he's huge. No, he's huge, dude. He's huge. I'm not as bullish as you or the field on some of these guys in Portland. I think most likely I would probably get to like Shaedon Sharp of the 3. But I don't think I'm really in love with any of them. It's a slight pace down spot. 220 implied points is more than I expected it to be. But obviously, with the Clippers being 7-point road favorites, like it's mostly on their behalf. And they're also, you know, not only are they a slow team, they're 19th in pace, they're 4th in defense. And it's just like not. There was a significant price bump for Scoot on one game, on the back of one game, right? He went from 4,200 to 5,800 on the most efficient game he's ever played in his probably his whole life. At least like professionally, like clearly his most efficient game. He's shooting 42%, rounding up. And the 46% from 3 over his last 5 games is literally based on an 8 for 10 last game, right? So, like, I'm not saying he's not decent peripherally or per minute or any of that stuff. Doesn't have a high, because he has a good usage rate and all that. Like, it's fine. But, like, that is just not realistic of an expectation for anyone going into the slate thinking like Scoot's gonna do, like, I'm just playing Scoot Henderson because he got a starting position and that's all I need for him to flourish. Like, no, that's not, because Anthony Simons was a ghost in that game, and Anthony Simons is their leading scorer. And DeAndre Ayton didn't play the 4th quarter in that game, basically. Like, didn't play the final 8 minutes of that game. What if DeAndre Ayton is dominating, right? I just think, like, as high a usage rate as Scoot has, and the numbers do bear out for him. No Denny, no Jeremy Grant. They look fine. Like 25% usage rate over a fantasy point per minute. Those are good numbers. I just, in this spot, it's just not something that I'm like going overweight on the field. He's 24% right now, or 25%, whatever the number is. I don't like the price. The minutes will be fine, but if he beats me because he goes 13 for 18 or 8 for 10 from 3.
Sure. And listen, obviously there's been games where he's been extended this year and he's given you good production based off price, but now that he's been bumped up, you know, is he going to give you another 10x game? Probably not, right? So I would agree with you. It's a bit steep, and I'm not surprised to see people want to go to him because he is going to be back likely in that starting lineup. And it's all about sort of, you know, what have you done for me lately? Everybody remembers what he did, and they'll be looking to go back to it. Indiana Detroit guys here. Now, again, we don't know the Halliburton status yet, but you have Nembhard at $5,500, no Matherin. There's still McConnell, who did get some run and was pretty good in those minutes. Would you take a look at either of these? It's a 1.5 point spread in that game with a 228.5 total.
Might have Neesmith back as well. He's fine. Last piece in, no Matherin matters because he is, 23% usage guy this year. So like you are removing like a healthy ball handler. Solid usage rate bump, like 2.4%, still like 20.5. I probably would give the edge to Scoot between the two if Halliburton's playing. If Halliburton's not playing, then I'm for sure all systems go on Nembhard, because now you're removing 2 guard/wings from that team. Even if Neesmith came back, it's limited, and you're playing alongside Ben Shepherd, who's just not going to shoot the basketball. So I would say Scoot if Halliburton plays, and we'll know obviously. So you'll know ahead of time because 7 p.m. game, and Nembhard if Halliburton sits. That'll be how I.
With Fred VanVleet out, what do we think Houston does with their starting lineup? I put in the Discord that Ahmed Thompson had been the one moving into the starting lineup in the 2 games that VanVleet was out, but all 4 games.
I think there's been 4,
but he's already starting. Right, Jabari's out, so Thompson's been starting anyways. Tari Eason is expected. Well, we think he's expected to play. Upgraded from doubtful to questionable is usually a good indication that he'll be ready to go. They've played Aaron Holiday off the bench. What do you think they end up doing with their starting lineup tonight?
Yeah, I actually heard that from a Houston podcaster, Roosh Williams, or he said that there has been inside information that Eason plays tonight. So I had heard that previously, and then the upgrade happens. So I think Jeff Green or like Jayshawn Tate, something like that.
Start and play forward, and then they go the Amon, Jalen Green front court or back to the weather.
Yeah. Ahmed Thompson's for sure going to start like as your de facto point guard. Yeah, I mean, like the way that they run their offense, like Thompson, Green, and Şengün, everything out of the Şengün out of the high post, right? Like that's just how they operate. And then Eason's clearly going to be limited. He hasn't played since December 14th, so he's over a month. 13 straight games he hasn't played. Clearly going to be limited, especially because it's like this is like the weirdest leg injury that they've been talking about. So some type of limit there. Whitmore in the rotation. Aaron Holiday probably back in the rotation. And and Steven Adams is probably like even though I don't know if Steven Adams has he played a back-to-back yet? I don't think he's played one back-to-back, played 3 minutes on the second leg. So I think Jeff Green is probably your starter. And then, you get Whitmore probably as the 6th man. I saw a couple comments in the chat earlier that they think Whitmore is going to be impacted by Eason. With VanVleet out, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be true, because I don't think Tari's going to I don't see how Tari comes back after a leg injury that's clearly impacted him for a month, that he's just like anywhere close to full. And when you're talking about Tari Eason in full, he's only playing 20 minutes, give or take a night, right? So I do think there's some intrigue to Whitmore. I know we're gonna have a question. Yeah, I agree. I'm sure we're gonna get a question or a comment about Aaron Holiday.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying he's been playing off the bench for them anyway. So there's a.
So he would have DMP'd yesterday if not for the blowout. He was not in the rotation.
Yeah, I was more so looking at the games that VanVleet didn't play, and he was off the bench for them.
Sure. Right.
What was your final call on Delano Banton? Because again, he's getting like 35% ownership tonight.
He's a min salary player that has a really high ceiling.
He
also obviously has a
He
very
did
low
get
floor,
first quarter run
as we've
in
seen.
that game, but then didn't come back in the game until the end of the third and played like a 6-minute stint, basically end of third into 4. And that was basically all you saw of Delano Banton.
So you 17 minutes, right? Because
Yeah.
he gets that last minute in garbage time. Like, so if you think Delano Banton can get you there in 17 minutes, then do it. But we're going to talk about everyone's other favorite 3K play, and I just don't think you need 2 of them. There's no like Jokic, there's no Wemby, there's no like.
I think your Delano Banton
11K.
hope tonight is that like Scoot gets in foul trouble guarding Norm or Harden or something like that. And that's where Banton can see increased playing time.
Yeah. Also to the comment we just had from Straight Cash Show Me, we skipped him on the preview show too.
Caius?
And I don't want to skip him here. Yeah, I mean, when you look at the way that rotation shaked out, I actually wrote up on fantasyalarm.com. I did the underdog prize picks and sleeper articles today. I did an assist prop for Tyus Jones. He had 13 potential assists in that Atlanta game. I don't think, and we've talked about this a couple times, Bradley Beal moving to the bench and getting Grayson Allen back has completely impacted Tyus Jones. But in the game that Bradley Beal leaves, Tyus Jones' minutes are back up to 26. He has a really good matchup against Washington where he spent all of last year. And he's 4,300. He's going to start at point guard and potentially approach 30 minutes again. So I think the field is mostly going to go the Grayson Allen route, and that's how it's really had sat for most of the day. Most of the day, people had been playing Grayson Allen as like the primary Phoenix value play. Actually, Tyus has now overthrown him, and I actually kind of agree with it. I do think Tyus Jones is a really solid $4,300 value in the best spot.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the
I
best
agree
spot
with
on the board.
Anybody else here? Point guard? You mentioned obviously the Thunder guards last night. Are you still interested in the value here?
Yeah. I mean, I think that we'll get to center. I don't know if they start big. I really don't. And even if they do, I don't think there's going to be extension. So by default, I like Cason Wallace getting 30. We'll get to Wiggins. We'll get to Isaiah Joe in a few
percent. Shooting guard position then. A lot of these guys have dual position eligibility. Obviously, Amen Thompson. So at least for now, he didn't get an ownership bump even with Van Vliet ruled out. I don't know. Yeah, I would bet as in like an hour when we get closer to 6:30 and like the real like lineups start coming out, we get that next like final update that Amen Thompson will be higher. Because if he's not, and you're gonna tell me I'm gonna get like a 10% Thompson with against the Kings tonight, like I would jump all over that in a heartbeat.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, look at the games that he gets for. I mean, anytime you get 40 minutes, it's money.
Still almost double last night. They just won by 20. So
right, and again, the stocks were just there. To Josh's comments, I understand what you're saying. Also, this is where DraftKings is kind of. If you're looking at the DraftKings, you get duped. Monty Morris has been a straight DMP the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So you look at DraftKings, you're like, oh, Monty Morris has been. Man, he's been playing all these minutes. He has DMP the last 2 games. So, and even the games before that, 4 and 7. So, Monty Morris has played 11 total minutes in the last 4 games.
We'll share the FanDuel board. There you go.
Yeah.
0-0-3-7.
Right.
So
those minutes are not really impacting anybody.
I agree. All right. So obviously, again, if ownership's out on Amen Thompson tonight, I will for sure have some late night hammer exposure to that. I'm. There's no way. I refuse to believe anything. I agree. Listen,
Houston's top.
We're an hour and a half outside of roster lock, so there's plenty of time for the final ownership run to come in and adjust. But if this stays at a 10%, and as of now, like
I know,
all of Houston is 10% and under. And
No,
Jalen Green has been off his goddamn rocker for a week plus. Guy, in theory, guy is not missing shots. I don't care that he's shooting 60%, 70%. You might as well not be missing shots at that point.
No, dude, no. He's not missing
34, 42.
Not missing threes.
And you're telling me that he's coming in under 10% tonight? Is it just the back-to-back? Like what? Like back-to-back road games? I guess would be the problem. Like, I don't know. He only played 30 minutes last night because they won in a blowout.
No, I am just ignoring the ownership right now. I'm telling you, if they are low owned, then I will have 3 Rockets tonight. I will just play 3 Rockets.
So we'll update all that again after the show, and then we'll have that final update.
Jalen Green, the Van Vliet Jabari, 28% usage, 1.2 fantasy points per minute. Sure, don't play like I don't know. I'm not talking ownership. Yeah. People are gonna play.
Would you play Green or Powell? My answer would be yes. I would play both of them if I could, and you can with the shooting guard small forward eligibility. I would play Jalen Green over Norman if you're making me pick one, though.
Yeah, this is tough. I actually built earlier, and this was pre-Van Vliet news, and I have, because I haven't adjusted, I have Norm in my lineup. I built with Norm this morning.
Halliburton active tonight. He said active.
Yeah, it seemed like it was trending that direction when they both listed questionable yesterday. Dude, no Kawhi this year. Norm has a 28.4% usage and is over a fantasy point per minute. And this is like a dream matchup. I mean, might not have Terrence Mann. I don't know if you saw, they played. Terrence Mann got hurt last night. Still didn't play in a 60-point win. They did not play
out of the
Porter
rotation, and they meant it. So,
like Norm is in a competitive game. Norm plays 40 minutes tonight.
I mean, listen, I don't think think there's a wrong answer to that question. I would play both of them if I could.
I don't disagree with
I would only just lean Jalen Green because it's technically a better game environment in terms of spread and total, I guess. Like, it is considered a closer game with a higher total. But he's like, it's not like he's playing any less minutes. Before when we had these conversations, there was maybe a little bit more of a price gap, but now they're basically right on top of each other. So Jordan, I don't think you're going to have a wrong answer with whichever one you want to play into. You're getting far higher ceiling play right now from Jalen Green.
So Jalen Green. Right. Agreed. I 100% agree with that. Just for context too, on your Jalen Green point, Doug Christie took over. They're 7-1 in their last 8 games with Doug Christie. They're 7th in pace in that span. So they're clearly playing.
I'm actually a little surprised that Houston is a dog in this game, but
yeah,
I don't know. It is what it is. Again, both of those guys I think are great plays. Again, Jordan Poole, great play. I think you can really play a lot of these shooting guards. I think they're all in. Beasley, we discussed on the preview show. Hit his shots and still only played 18 minutes. They played 36 minutes of Tim Hardaway Jr. and they played Oscar Thompson. So I don't think we can confidently play him anymore, even though he's been good again for 3 straight games. If he's only going to see 18 minutes, that's a scary proposition for me.
Yeah, I'm fully out. At that price, I'm out. I'm fully out. I don't care if I'm out.
Back to the Nembhard question we had earlier. Now that everybody's in, Scoot or Nembhard, or you're in on Scoot now?
Yeah.
Scoot versus Nembhard, rather, if you had to pick one there. Grayson Allen, 42?
Yeah. Closed that game, played a bunch of minutes the other day, closed in Utah, played a bunch of minutes in that game. And it's really just been about the shot making for Grayson Allen because he wasn't making shots. The league leader in 3-point percentage last year wasn't making shots. And then he started to play more. and we're a shot maker show, and he's starting to make shots.
I would like to see more shots, but that he's making the shots he's taking.
No Beal.
You know what I'm saying?
There's definitely a potential for
it's a bingo spot,
shots.
right? You get the Wizards, horrific defensive team, and they're gonna score a lot of points, and there's gonna be opportunities for him to take more. Give me the 8 to 11. Don't give me 3 for 4. I'm glad he hit all 3 of them, but we need more than that. I actually thought he was doing Strus question mark. I'm gonna ask you: are you playing him? Because you're on a heater, so like I'll play whoever you're playing right now, Justin. If you're playing Strus tonight, I am playing Strus tonight. That line would be thrown in our Discord, man. Bunch of flames. Love to see it. Happy that you're winning some contests there. Strus is fine, but we did talk about this last night as well. With the Cleveland rotation, he might just be a mid-20s guy now. He may not be a guy that plays up over 30 minutes anymore with the way that they run their lineup. I do know you have your small ball theory for tonight. Does that lend to you thinking Strus plays a season high in minutes, or do you think he's just kind of stuck in that 23 to 26 range?
I think that there's 2 scenarios in that where he plays, he's the one that gets extended, or Karis LeVert's the one that gets extended. And I think whoever's playing better is the one that gets extended. Because it's not going to be Dean Wade. It's not going to be Niang. It's not going to be they extended just the last game. LeVert got 27 minutes and Strus got 22. So like LeVert was playmaking really well. He didn't make shots, but they extended him. So I think that there's a case to be made for either LeVert or Strus in the scenario that I have played up in my head. And you will get both of them completely unowned. No one's going to play either Karis LeVert or Max Strus. So like, if you guess the right Cleveland Cavalier,
Are you playing any Amir Coffee?
Sure. I am aware of the minutes. I am aware of he's like blowout proof because like he's in the rotation, plays a bunch of minutes, and always closes in blowouts.
No man, no Kawhi. Clearly not playing KPJ anymore.
It's a really low floor play, but it's what is the difference between playing you might get 30 minutes out of him versus 14 minutes of Delano Banton, and one guy's 40% owned. So, both are. Chris Dunn's getting ownership. Yeah. I just saw you flash Chris Dunn on the screen. There's a case for Clippers tonight because they do get extended when Kawhi's off the floor, right? It's like we saw this all year. Chris Dunn starts. He's going to play 30 minutes, no Kawhi, or right around 30 minutes. Derrick Jones is going to start, play low 20s. So, yeah, I mean, you can play any of these Clippers.
Anybody else?
I mean, the OKC stuff. Wallace, Dort, shooting guard eligible. Isaiah Joe, shooting guard eligible. They extended Isaiah Joe the last time they played Cleveland. Again, might be extended because they might not go big, so.
Joe played 25 minutes in that game, 26 fantasy points, so.
Yeah, Jordan, you're right. That's just a big Spider-Man meme with all the ancillary pieces.
Small forward. Again, many of men we've discussed. You have DeRozan, whom we haven't. And then Tamani Kamara, who's your other chalk monster today. Scoot, huge price bump. Kamara, nope, same thing. P2 almost 10x, and they're just like, yeah, it's Tamani Kamara. We'll leave him.
That's exactly the thought. Thought. Not a high usage guy.
Algorithms have absolutely no interest in Tamani Kamara. But he's a great value whenever given these sort of opportunities. So, I don't think we'll see 21 shots again.
That's crazy. It's crazy. He's going to guard Harden, right? He's going to play big minutes. He's going to play big minutes. He's going to guard Harden or Norm, I guess, depending on who's got it cooking. That's who Kamara's going to guard. I'm assuming they're going to guard him with Harden, but he is really popular. Let me ask you this, because I think it's an interesting, because they're both pretty popular. Asar Thompson or Tumani Kamara? Kamara, you can just check.
Yeah, that's what it is. I almost feel like I want Kamara because I know he's going to play. And he did just 10x. So it's not like I can't be like, oh, Osler's got a higher ceiling. It's like, well, we just got a 10x out of the guy. So
no, yeah.
The answer might be Kamara because I can trust him more. I think Osler Thompson's probably the better player ceiling. If you said both guys are having ceiling nights, I'd take Osler Thompson. But I don't trust that Thompson's going to play all the minutes that we need him to play.
There is potentially like a 14-minute gap.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Kamani Kamara might play 38 minutes tonight, and Osler Thompson might play 24. Yep. And Thompson might just play 24, and that's
Siakam puts him in the blender or something. I don't know. Like, anything's possible there. We talked Grayson Allen already. Again, THJ played 35 minutes in that game. His minutes, for whatever reason, are now kind of locked in.
He hasn't been bad.
30 plus in 6 of the last 7.
Yeah, I probably don't get there. This is definitely a position to spend down at, though. So if he's like one of your spend downs, so be it. Dort, 4K, is going to get a lot of ownership. He's going to be on the floor as long as Donovan Mitchell's on the floor.
Mr. Blowout, Cam Whitmore.
Yeah, and you know what? It wasn't blowout-aided either. Like he was just he was in the rotation, and that's the point of like the Tari Easton stuff. That I think Whitmore's minutes are secure, anyways, because we're getting Van Vliet out, right? Like there's no guarantee Aaron Holiday or Reed Shepherd or anybody is extended here at all. Like none. I think Whitmore is probably the first guy off the bench again. And yeah, I think 3,700 is a good price for a guy who
we just got another ownership
does 2 things.
Update. And again, we'll have all this on Fantasy Alarm after the show. Alan Thompson's up to 14% now, but nobody else is over 10%.
I'm shocked, dude. I'm just shocked.
Cam Whitmore's at a 1%. You got a 1% Cam Whitmore tonight?
I get that there's a $700 difference between him and Delano Banton, but there's just no way he's a 40% higher rostered player than Cam Whitmore tonight, Delano Banton, who is not guaranteed in a close game any minutes. Cam Whitmore is playing minutes. They have 3, right? 3. Well, I guess Easton's back. Jabari, they have 2 starters out.
Again, Whitmore entered the first quarter last night, played the final 2 minutes, then played the second quarter 7 minutes. Then he finished the third quarter 3 minutes and played the entire fourth, which is what he gets in blowout runs. Now, his usual rotation run still would have been into the fourth quarter, but he would have subbed out had it been a competitive game with everybody else. Instead, he finished with Shepherd and Jonathan Williams and Aaron Holiday and that crew there. So, like, he got obviously an extra 6 minutes there. So if this game is competitive at all, and you think they're going to play Jeff Green or Aaron Holiday or something like that, and he could lose out. Tari Easton's back. Obviously, he might only end up with that 16, 18-minute run. Or he plays more minutes than Jeff Green because he's just on a heater, and Tari Easton takes those minutes instead, and now you get another 25 minutes out of Cam Whitmore.
I think that is what I think. That's my opinion, what you just said as well. And I know Jeff Green's been extended a couple times, but it's still been 21 and 29 minutes. Like, there's still plenty of minutes to be had at multiple wing spots for Cam Whitmore. If Cam Whitmore is out there scoring the basketball, John, they're not going back to Jeff Green for like an extended period of time, especially
if they're losing this game or something like that. And the other thing we talk about a lot, Cam Whitmore, is he doesn't need a lot of minutes. If he gets his
No, he
16 to 18 minutes, then he can still give you 20 plus fantasy points there. So, I think there's some, again, know what your floor is with certain players. There's certainly a low floor with Cam Whitmore because there's not a guarantee extension here. But if he does get extended, this dude is a bucket, and you can get some points out of him at $3,700. So you just kind of have to keep that in the back of your mind when you plug him. Craig's saying similarities with Isaiah Joe versus Cam Whitmore for sure. These offensive shoot guys. This is why Grande and I have talked for a long time now. If you're going to take a shot on a 3K play, you want a guy that's going to shoot. You don't want a guy that's going to go in there and take 3 shots and need to get everything else. You want a guy that's going to get out there in his 14 minutes, take 8 shots, and hope you get hot with a couple of threes, and there you go. Just the differences. That's why we'll never play Ben Shepherd. Just not going to do it. He's not
never
going to shoot enough for me to trust him in a limited role. So it's just the way we're at with it. What do we have? Josh wants to know Kamara, Mobley, or J-Dub and Osor.
Such a good question. Such a good question.
I would lean the first. I would lean the first.
I would go the second one.
But I know why you're saying that, because you're looking solely at J-Dub and the number T. Yeah.
No,
yes,
you don't know me.
Yes, I do, because you sent me the screenshot earlier.
No,
but Evan Mobley's numbers aren't far off of what he's doing, and I think Tamani Kamara is a better player than Osor Thompson tonight. So give me the first group.
Okay, I'll go second.
That's where I would go.
I'll split with you.
He's asking us for a head-to-head, and we're literally going against each other on that, but that's fine. Josh then says Harden, Whitmore, or Alman and Kamara.
Well, can we combine them then? Can we just go J-Dub Kamara?
And you can go J-Dub and Kamara. That's fine. I'd rather that.
Can we combine it?
And then I would go probably the second group with that one too. Alman and Kamara over with Harden.
It's definitely safer. The second one is for sure safer.
I've given you the safer option in both instances. So that's what I've decided.
Well, Kamara is definitively the safer of the 1v1s there, undoubtedly the safer option of the 2 1v1s. And we're about to get to power forward in a second. You know that I have a strong Jalen Williams infatuation today.
You do, but Kevin Durant is actually where the ownership's going tonight.
It is. Well, going home, people love a good narrative. Going home to Washington, where he's from. Commanders in
Remember
town.
all of those Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant team-ups in Washington, and then they decided to do it in Phoenix instead?
Yep. Still good, and it's a good time, and really good time in Phoenix that they're having.
Third highest rostered player on the slate tonight.
Yeah, I mean, really good at basketball. No Beal. Really good at basketball.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We got some Jarice Walker questions. Here's my problem with Jarice Walker. Neesmith is back. Halliburton's in. I know no Matherin, but again, they have other guards that they'll play.
They love Ben Shepherd.
They play Ben Shepherd. They have Nembhard, obviously. They have McConnell, who will get minutes, even if they're not enough. So I just don't think we can go to Jarice Walker tonight. They're not with Neesmith back. They did say Neesmith is going to be on a minutes limit. So those minutes have to come from somebody. So
what would you say? I know it's a hard thing, and I'm putting you on the spot. Give me Jarice Walker minutes tonight.
It could just be what we're looking at. It could just be 18. But again, he was playing 16, 13, 14, 11. His max is 22, and he had a 12 rebound game that really go it out there. I don't think you can confidently play Jarice Walker.
He's in the same bucket as all these other cheap small forwards. Yeah. It's the same play. I
understand the appeal. Back-to-back games against Cleveland, and he had good performances, a good game against Chicago. Okay, extended in both of those. But I'm just saying, with Halliburton back and Neesmith back, it's just very difficult to think that Jarice Walker is going to be as efficient as he was, and then you need him to be as active as he's been. Now, I know minutes limit for Neesmith. I get it. I know. But what is that, 10 minutes? Do you think he plays 10 minutes tonight? I think he's going to probably play 15.
Who, Neesmith?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I projected him or updated at like 15, 16.
Yeah, 15, 18, yeah. So again, total tournament play. If I'm building one lineup, it does not include Drees Walker tonight. Just again, know what your floors are. This guy had 2 really good games against Cleveland and then barely played against the Warriors. Played 7 minutes in that game. So
yeah, I mean, but like again, it's like they're all the same plays. Whitmore has a ceiling. Jarius Walker has a ceiling. Isaiah Joe freaking scored 40 in MSG the other day. Like I feel like they're all like very similar to one another.
Yep, I agree. And you know, what did Carlisle say? He liked Jarius Walker was getting down and getting after it. Well, you know, Neesmith is that guy.
What he does, that is exactly what he does, pal.
Yeah,
he's that guy, pal.
Neesmith is that get down and get after it. So
yeah,
you know, we got that there. All right. Again, Jarius Walker's all about you guys. I am not as. I hope he works for you. Like I'm not like confidently plugging him in. I don't know. I guess if I played a 20 max, he'd be in a lineup. Probably, maybe. If I really wanted to diversify my exposure to the 3K plays, like he would be in the 3K player pool, but he's not in my like 1 to 5 max lineup. So
yeah.
All right. Durant, we gave him his flowers. And now there's the Mobley versus J-Dub debate here. Obviously, Mobley of late has been incredible, including this matchup against the Thunder. 48 fantasy points in that game, doubles in 4 straight. We know he can give you even more defensive stats than we've seen of late out of him lately. The 2 random assist games, 7 and 6 against OKC and Toronto. Yeah. Something to watch there. And maybe had a lot to do with the defense that the Thunder were playing on the Cleveland guards there. But again, super safe play. You highlighted to me earlier, and I don't know if you tweeted it out or not, but Jalen Williams' numbers without Isaiah Hartenstein earlier this season when he was basically the center. Was this like the stretch? I think
11 to 11-20. Hartenstein returned on the 20th, but he played like 20 minutes.
So we got 51, 62, 36, 45, 58, 59. So just as elite as they come. Some obviously favorable matchups in that stretch as well for him to dominate, but no doubt about it, if they're going to play this small ball Thunder lineup, Jalen Williams has a freakishly long wingspan. He can certainly play big if they need him to. Your belief is this is the route they go tonight. They go small ball, J-Dub 5, and he just eats this matchup.
Like, I'm not like stupid to think, like, I'm not stupid. I know they're going to play Jalen Williams, other Jalen with a Y. I know, but I think, and you and I have had this exact discussion where we have talked about like, well, the Thunder have to play, they're playing this center. They have to play big, right? Like these teams have to match up. They don't in reality. The Thunder want to dictate what other teams have to react to them. Yeah. So they'll say, well, I'll just put Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, SGA, Lou Dort, and Jalen Williams on the floor and make you defend 5 guys that can shoot threes and slash to the basket and make you decide whether you want to keep 2 centers on the floor or match up with us. And during this stretch, I mean, they were really good. He was really good. And you know, I highlighted it in one of the props I did. During the span, he led the team in potential rebounds while also having 9 potential assists per game. The potential rebounds were at 13%, and he had a 24% usage during that span or better in each game, as well as 1.3 fantasy points per minute this year without Chet and Ihart on the floor. So I just think that there's a ton to like about J-Dub tonight. I am fully aware Jalen Williams was not available in this stretch. I'm fully aware they're going to use him more than they usually do. But I've seen projections at like Jalen with a Y, like 25 and 26 minutes tonight. And I think that's wrong. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll be wrong, right? But I think they are going to, after seeing what Jared Allen did to them and seeing what Mobley did to them, they have the opportunity to just be like, I don't want that to happen again. I'm going to make this a small ball-ish game with just Mobley on the floor and removing Jared Allen. So that's the way I see it. Could be completely off. But I think Jalen Williams is a smash at 8K. We've been waiting for this price to like come back to earth. And now we finally get it at 8K. And he's in good form and potentially your small ball center for extended runs. So that's the way that I've been a nerd and theorized the way the game's going to play out. And, you know, sometimes you just have to stick to your guns. And if I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. And
Yeah. I mean, the Thunder obviously are getting ownership in this one. Mobley's the only one really on the Cleveland side getting any ownership. But like SGA, Jalen Williams, and obviously the other Jalen Williams are all getting some ownership here. Work your way down. There's Siakam at 72, Kuzma, who we've talked about, and you said you were probably getting to a bit easier than Poole for price point reasoning, and obviously you got to love the 21 shots, which he hit more, but still gave you 42 fantasy points there against Minnesota at $6,100. You have a safe play in Tobias Harris. What are your thoughts in this mid-range?
Yeah, I mean, I think any of them are fine. We know Kuzma's a high usage guy, 27% this year. Again, hasn't been as productive as Jordan Poole in terms of fantasy points per minute, but I think Kuzma has a ceiling at this price. Really good game environment, obviously. Siakam's safe, reliable. Same thing with Toby and this, sans Jaden Ivey. He's just been this guy, like basically like going to flirt with the double-double, going to give you double-digit points, going to do other things as well, mid to high 30s minutes. So they're all fine. Kuzma probably the most unreliable of the three, but, has pop potential in this spot because Phoenix has been so poor defensively. So I actually probably favor Kuzma the most of the three in this tier. I think ownership disagrees with me, so I will take the lowest owned of the three and play Kuzma.
Okay. Value range. Again, do you have any Tyree Eason interest? I mean, again, he's missed quite a few games. Like, what do you think his minutes end up being? He's been a guy that usually plays in the mid-20s as it is. What do we think we get?
I don't know if he touches 20 minutes tonight.
Okay.
Which is why I'm also pretty bullish on a 1% Cam Whitmore, because I don't see how after a month of like clear issue with like a growth, whatever this weird thing has been, right? I know they're listing him officially as like injury management today was like the official listing. So obviously they think it's beyond or he might be past it, but I just don't see how after a month of leg issues that he's playing like the normal minutes that he was playing. And if I'm wrong, so be it. But it's also like no one's playing him, so I'm not going to get beat by the field here.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. You said like a growth. I thought it was an NBA player, but it was remember Carlos Gonzalez of the Rockies?
Cargo, the most famous Cargo, yeah,
the most famous Cargo. You said growth, and I had me immediately remember. He had a mass remove that had tentacles. You remember that?
No, I don't.
Yes. Yeah. He had some sort of like weird growth mass that was removed, and it had, when they removed it, it said it had tentacles on it. So like,
that's absurd.
Anyways,
that's absurd.
Yeah, very absurd. I thought it might have been a basketball player, but it was Carlos Gonzalez. But I'll never forget seeing like that update. You're like, so-and-so's like on the IL had mass removed with tentacles. I was like, what was in his body that was there? Guy could never stay healthy, ran into a center field wall and basically just like ended his career.
Shout out Cargo.
Shout out Cargo. Those Rockies teams. Holiday, Cargo, Tulo, fun times. Where else we going here? What else do we like?
We don't.
No? Okay.
No. I mean, Uncle Jeff probably starts, right?
Who's Uncle Jeff? I mean, that's what everybody's telling me.
I think
everybody's telling me.
I think Uncle Jeff starts. That would be my guess.
Is there a reason? Have we seen this? We've seen him start?
Yeah. In the Boston game.
Oh yeah, that's
in the Denver game. Started both those games.
That's fair.
Or not the
I don't want to play
the
it,
Boston game. The Boston game.
Boston game. Yeah. All right.
No, I'm not playing him. I'm just offering the comment that he's going to start. The field's getting to some Iguodaro.
Coach Chris says no center. No centers for the Suns. They got Plumlee, right?
They still have Plumlee, Iguodaro. This is a spot that you probably have to play more traditional center if the Suns, but does value.
He's played over 20 minutes a night, really, as it is. So it's not like they're not playing him. Richards will make his debut Saturday, by the way.
Saturday, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
So, all right, top center spot. Where's the center ownership tonight? I guess is my question.
Like, this is what I'm saying. How is Şengün?
It's Jalen Williams, obviously. They're right. That makes.
How is Şengün unowned?
Well, that's as of now, all of Houston is unowned, except for Amin Thompson's up to 14%.
It doesn't make sense, dude.
16%. It's on its way. But as he went up, everybody else went down. Şengün now 7%. Jalen Green 8%. Whitmore's up to 5%. So I lied. He went from 1 to 5%. And Amin's up to 15%. So people are realizing that Amin Thompson's a good play, but no one else is getting played on this team.
I refuse to let that stand in my lineups.
Jimmy Butler not on the injury report for tomorrow. We might get buckets back for the Heat. See what happens there.
Well, we've seen the reports. He said, "Yeah, I'll play.
He'll play.
I'll play until
especially when they said they were going to change his suspension designation to double his fines."
Yep.
All right, back to this slate though. All right, so no one's playing Şengün. No one's really playing Sabonis. They're all playing Jalen Williams. That's why. Everybody's spending all the way down to Jalen Williams there. Sabonis is 15%. What say you? You can also play Kevin Durant at center.
Yeah, I think that also drives the Durant ownership, right? That is like a big beneficiary to play Durant in all those different spots. Like Sabonis, don't love him with Monk back. I think there's obviously just a naturally higher ceiling without Monk or Fox. Like he's played without one of those guys for a bunch of games in a row. Mm-hmm. KD is great. I think Şengün is completely being slept on here. You look at some of these numbers, it's just over 100-minute sample, but 32% usage, or 29% rather, higher than Jalen Green, by the way. 1.49 fantasy points per minute for Alperen Şengün, who was easily triple-doubling last night if he plays more than 25 minutes. To the question we just had about the Van Vliet stuff, Cam Whitmore, it's Van Vliet and Jabari Smith I removed from the floor. Cam Whitmore actually has the highest bump in usage rate to 3.5%, leads the team in usage rate, John. 30% for Cam Whitmore. In terms of fantasy points per minute, Jalen Green, Tari Eason, Amin Thompson, all elite. Şengün 1.5, Eason 1.3, Jalen Green 1.2, Cam Whitmore 1.1, Amin Thompson 1.1. To have 5 players over 1.1 fantasy points per minute without those two guys just shows you how good they are at their ownership. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if this ownership stays the way it is, I understand they're in a back-to-back. I understand they're traveling. I understand the Kings have been good defensively. That's the best tournament team on the board, period. That's the best tournament team on the board.
Agreed. Where are we? So last night we talked and liked Miles Turner. He does get a usage and fantasy point per minute increase with Mathurin off the floor and Halliburton on the floor. But no one's really playing Miles Turner tonight. What are your thoughts at Turner at 6K?
Nick Richards is not playing tonight. DePrince, he's playing Saturday. He's making his debut.
Yeah. Not active tonight, DePrince.
I think Turner's fine. Indifferent about it. It's a really good matchup. It's a guy who can space the floor. There's games where he has high block upside. There's games where he can rebound. I don't think having Mathurin off the floor hurts his rebounding percentage at all because Mathurin is a good rebounding wing. So I am perfectly fine getting to a 6K Miles Turner.
Yeah. That's again, I was just kind of looking at his ownership there, getting under 10%. You're less in on Allen. Again, the field isn't really playing Allen either. They're playing Mobley. I skipped by Zubac, but obviously we were high on him before. Well, what are your thoughts there?
My thoughts are that he is a monster. And there's 2020
against Brooklyn in that 60-point blowout. Still had 31 fans.
Dude, I mean, he's just very good. There's no Kawhi. We've seen this all year. He's been incredibly consistent. So I think any Clipper of any of their big three are a really good place.
All right. Last value thoughts. Jalen Williams in or out? So 35% of the field.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in. I just don't expect the minutes that the field expects. The field has him at 24 to 25 minutes. I do not think he plays that. I think it's high teens, low 20s.
All right. Let's get a lineup build then. You like Jalen Williams, obviously.
Just play both Jalen Williams.
Play them both.
Play both.
Okay.
Okay, well,
I guess we have to get. So, and you like Whitmore? You think a little low roster to Whitmore?
Yes, I do. Houston loaned. If Houston is loaned, I'm all in. Get Booker.
Okay, Booker in. If you do Jalen Green, it's 52. Grayson Allen, 42, 62 util. Kuzma, just stack that game.
Yep. Yep. And you're just switching stuff around just to make sure you get some of that late game in your
what am I doing? This Kuzma, Jalen Williams. Is that even the late game? What's the late game?
But
Houston, Sacramento.
No, you need Asar and Cam Whitmore, but it's
example lineup for everybody here. Booker, Amin Thompson, Cam Whitmore, Kyle Kuzma, Jalen Williams, Jalen Green, Grayson Allen, and the other Jalen Williams there, the good Jalen, J-Dub. Example lineup, $100 left over for all of you. Go tune in to Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. I'm going to be on with Howard Bender and Andrew Cooper on the Fantasy Alarm Show in about 15 minutes. Get in that Discord. Our guy Keith's got the playbook up for all of you in there, and we'll have all of the ownership updated and everything leading into the 7 p.m. roster lock. We appreciate you guys tuning in each and every day. Hit that like, that subscribe, that share button. And if you want, we got a 7-day free trial still going on. Scan that QR code, fantasyalarm.com/win. Grande and I will be back tomorrow. Good luck till then. We'll see you later.